when God calls you to something, he doesn't allow, the enemy will come, but God doesn't allow you to be emotionally attached to people's personality.
That's a nugget. That's a nugget.
Because it's not about, it's, as a matter of fact, it's not about either one of us sitting at this table.
Exactly.
What do you need improvement in?
Just want to go up there and win.
What is the purpose of overthinking? You're taking care of your loved one. That's how you can increase your sales.
Hello, everybody. This is Ferris.
And this is Caleb Flanoy, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with the Homecare Guyz. And today, Ferris, listen, we have a special treat.
Brother, oh my gosh, man. This is the young lady that actually took our vision and actually manifest the vision and actually made our office come together, brother. We have Mrs. Karen Larkin, brother.
Yeah, welcome, Karen. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Well, we are happy to have you, Karen. Karen, first of all, you always come. Every time I see you, come fashionably dressed.
Yes,
I'm like, you can tell she is in the creative industry.
Thank you.
But Karen, first of all, welcome to our show. We want to say thank you. You know, our audience probably know this because they saw all these Facebook pictures that probably over 6 months ago, Ferris and I, we had the task of building out and renovating this office space, our headquarters. And so, Karen, we look for designers and we look near and far, and we say, you know what, your name came up, a few other people's name, and we say, you know what, after our interview and the relationship and the connection, we said we need to go with Karen. Yeah. And so, Karen, welcome to the show. We are simply amazed at what you've done. So we can't wait to dive into just all of your thought process and everything that you have done to create our wonderful space.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me.
And Karen, before we even dive into that right there, kind of just let our audience know a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how did your transition get into your calling that you have right now?
Wow. Well, I'm originally born and raised right here in Milledgeville, Georgia. Been here all my life. And when I think back, decorating is just who I am. It's been a part of my life, pretty much all of my life. I can, when I think back, I think back like helping my mom pick stuff in her house, even when I moved out for the very first time at the age of 27. So, I ain't gonna tell my age.
Look, you're only 28 now. Come on,
exactly.
Last year.
And just didn't have a whole lot of money, so people would give me stuff. And one thing comes to mind. My uncle, I'll never forget it. He come to me with this table and chair set. The table was broke. I ain't gonna say it was broken because it needed screws. And I'm looking at it and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? So I start looking, I said, okay, it's missing a screw here, missing a screw. So I went and got some screws, a can of spray paint. The chairs were busted up. Never upholstered anything in my life.
Wow.
So I looked on the bottom, I was like, they come loose. So went to Walmart, they had $1 yard fabric. I bought only 4 yards. So I covered the chairs, and behold, I created a beautiful dining room set for my very first place. And when I moved out, I ended up selling it. So it was given to me.
So you got it for free. And you were able to flip that.
And I
you
fixed it up.
Furniture.
And I flipped it.
Wow.
So decorating has been a part of who I am all of my life. But my uncle, even when I moved out, I tell him now, he sowed the seed. He told me then, after looking at my place that I had fixed up, he said, you should do this for a living.
Wow.
And I was like, and this was in 1997.
So the seed was sown then.
In 97.
In 1997.
And so, and we're going to pause right there because I want to let that marinate, especially with our audience, let them know that like the seed was sown in 1997. When did you really start tapping into your calling?
I started playing around with it in 20 during the pandemic. Like a lot of people, we didn't have anything to do, so I just started redoing things in my house.
Right, we had nothing to do with 20.
Exactly.
We were like, listen.
At home, right?
We were figuring out
just
like
Netflixing and chilling.
Yes.
So you were like,
I was redoing my house.
All right, that's good.
Every day there was a package coming. But anyway, so I started out with showing people how you can decorate on a budget and that you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. So I was literally like redoing spaces in my house. And I was doing little videos and say, okay, and even telling them how much I spent. And each thing that I've done, I didn't even spend $1,000.
Oh, wow.
So that's how it started. And so I had somebody to reach out to me and say, after the pandemic, and we can kind of start moving a little bit, was like, I need you to come do my house. Do you go to people's houses? I said, yeah. I had no clue what I was doing. And so I did, went, did like I said, didn't have a clue, didn't know I was going to do. I'm thinking this is going to be my side hustle.
Exactly.
And so towards the latter part of 20, I was working, and because of, there were a lot of business that, did some transition. And so I was let go from my job just because things was in an uproar, finances, so people were cutting back. And so I'm like, okay, God, what am I going to do? And so he said, I've given you a vision. And sometimes God has to do some things, even though it seems uncomfortable. And he said, like, to me, I had to put you in a position where you don't work for anybody else.
Come on.
You better say that.
Because I've given you a gift. And as long as you're working for someone else, my gift or what I've given you going to be second. Because I started out, I was going to do this as a hustle, side hustle.
Right.
God said no.
Aren't you happy that, that the job had to let you go?
Yes.
Because I don't think our paths would even cross if you did not operate and go into your purpose. And I was talking to a friend actually today. I was like, you know what? It's amazing how it was the story of Jacob, and you know how Jacob wrestled with the angel. Everybody Christians here. So everybody know the word. So it was a story about Jacob wrestling with the angel, and that Jacob, God broke his hip or something like that. And it was to a point where I was telling a friend, it was like, it was to a point where I feel that sometimes when we wrestle against different things, whether it's like, doing something that we are not really called, we're not purposeful to do. And so in this space, like you were wrestling with keeping your job or doing your purpose. And same for my friend, he was deciding like, okay, should he step out on faith or should he do all of this? And so with all this wrestling, it's making you uncomfortable. It made you so uncomfortable that, what? And then once you say, you know what, God, I trust you, I'm just going to do it. That's when the blessings and stuff come. And so, and that's when God opened us to say, hey, this is the designer for this season for us and to equip our space. And so I want to say thank you for stop wrestling with God. Stop wrestling with God and fulfillment and being in your purpose. That is amazing. How do you feel just being in that space of purpose?
I love it.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. And there are times and moments where there are tears of joy. Like, God, you could have chose anybody. And there are 1,000 designers out there. But you got to know what God has called you to. It's not about a competition.
You better say it.
It's not that, because the thing that I know about God, he gives all of us sometimes the same gift.
Right.
But you got to know who you are called to.
That's it.
And you got to walk in your calling. It doesn't matter if my sister or my brother over here is an interior designer. It doesn't matter. I know that I'm not called to all.
Exactly.
I'm called to a certain remnant
Wow.
of people. So it's okay if you don't hire me, because to me that's like, okay, I'm not called to, because what God has given me, it has more meaning, is more purposeful than just seeing something beautiful.
Right.
I want to bring our audience on our journey that we had together. I know initially when we were renovating the building, my brother Caleb, he's a good designer. He's very.
I'm all right, but I ain't no Karen.
You ain't no Karen Larkin. I'm telling you right now. So I remember we had a conversation and we was like, Caleb, we got to go through and get the furniture and everything.
Right.
And Caleb's like, well, hey, I'll go through and buy the furniture and I'll go through and decorate. And I know how busy we are. I'm like, brother, you can't do that. Like, I know this is a huge building. It's what 10,000, 15,000 square feet. It's a lot. And so I'll never forget, Karen, I think you were doing a live or a video, and I was like, I think you did it with Joel or somebody, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, yes, Karen is a designer. And so we got a chance. I think I was overseas somewhere. And so we got on a three-way call and we started talking. I said, Karen, hey, we got a big project. I don't know if you want to take it or not, but it's a big project. We have strong personalities. Like, I don't know if you want to take us or not, but you open up your heart to go through and say, you know what? Hey, let's talk. Let's talk. So kind of take us on that journey right there, because we had to come to the table. And a lot of times when you're dealing with, we all are iron. When iron doesn't cut iron, iron sharpens iron.
Yes.
And that's one thing that we came together. We had to sit down. We had to talk. We had to go through and be vulnerable to your. We came with the vision, but we had to be vulnerable to the execution of your plans as well. So kind of walk our audience through that right
Wow.
now. How was it initially working with us? Because I know we gave you a couple gray hairs probably.
Well, actually, one thing that I've learned just dealing with people, just dealing with people in the public anyway, there are always different personalities. Yes. And you can't ever take things personal. So when you are gifted or when you are called to do something, it's almost like the personalities doesn't even matter. Wow. When God calls you to something, he doesn't allow... Yeah, the enemy will come, but God doesn't allow you to be emotionally attached to people's personalities.
That's a nugget. That's a nugget.
Because it's not about, it's, as a matter of fact, it's not about either one of us that's
Exactly.
sitting at this table.
Exactly.
Are you unable to work a public job because you're taking care of a loved one in your home? There's a possibility that I can help. Since 2019, Prime Care Home Care has been part of the Structured Family Caregiving Program, and that is where you get paid a weekly stipend to take care of your loved one at home. There are some qualifications, and I will be glad to go over those with you. But first, you got to call. My number is 478-279-9838. Once again, that number is 478-279-9838. My name is Tara Griner, and I would love to help you.
So, when I got the call, first of all, I was honored. I was like, me? Little old me? Just the thought that, you guys even thought about me, that was an honor in itself. So when you say, okay, well, can we meet? And, you explain, you guys was out of the country. And, for me to come to the building. So when I came to the building, but before I came to the building, because just talking to you, I kind of knew a little bit about your personalities. I didn't know a whole lot, but what I saw even before stepping foot was something new, fresh, and innovative. Because you guys are young. You're young entrepreneurs, and you're going somewhere. So a lot of times you got to bring in newness and freshness. You got to be, the space has to be innovative. It has to be set up in conducive to where you're going. So even before seeing this space, I somewhat had a vision. I didn't know what I was walking into, but I somewhat knew, like,
a lot of dust.
what I would, present to you guys. And then after talking to you, it really was just confirmed.
Wow.
So that's that's what God.
One of the approaches I like that you took was, I remember I was in the house in Gray, and you came down and you just took some time to know my style.
Yes.
And that's one thing. I was listening, literally I was watching a little bit of this clip from Earn Your Leisure with Dapper Dan. I don't know if you know Dapper Dan, the fashion stylist in New York that, used to sew all these different things. And he was talking about the importance of just kind of getting to know your customer and your audience. And so most times when people are doing all these prints and stuff with fashion, they go in and say, well, this is the shirt that I'm creating for everybody. But instead of the collaboration part of getting to know, what do you like? What are your specs? And so I appreciate you taking the time, because I kind of knew what I want. And so I appreciate you taking the time to really kind of knowing, like, hey, what is your style? Let me get to know you. What are some colors to stay away from? What are some fabrics that you like? What are your textures? All of that stuff meant so much. And so I saw how personal you were with us. And that was far beyond, like, my experience with you was just, that was
Awesome.
the defining moment. Like, this is the lady right here.
Well, thank you.
And Karen, I know, like most of our audience or most people, sometimes when you think of a designer, you're like, okay, I can just go out and pick out my own stuff. I can go through and do that. But I realized that some people are really gifted in this. And in my mind, I'm like, are we paying somebody just to go through and buy stuff for us? So I want you to go through and dispel that myth out there, because I think so many people think of like when you have an interior designer, they just out there, I can go to the catalog and buy, but it's so much more. Buying is the easiest part, but it's so much more. So kind of dispel that myth and talk about that.
And you're right, because a lot of people do think that's it. No, okay, so I'm paying you to go shopping for me? No, you're not. And like Caleb said, part of interior design is every space should be unique to your client.
Right.
It should not be a cookie cutter
Correct.
of everything else. So a part of that is you have to get to know your client.
Yes.
You have to get to know, like, what do they like? What motivates them? What moves them? What drives them? I mean, and so when you're looking at all of that stuff, colors are important. What color drives me may not be the same color that drives
Exactly.
you.
Right.
So there is no right or wrong, but there are countless hours that goes behind the scene
Yes.
that a lot of people don't see. It's not just me going to the store and see a vase or a sculpture and say, okay, I'm gonna get that. It has to flow with the space.
Yes.
Right.
And it has to go with the personality
Exactly.
of what you're creating
Right.
for your client. So I spend hours sourcing. I spend hours on the internet. I spend hours even when I shop. And I may literally go to a store like every single day because something may be here today
Correct.
or may not. And then I go back tomorrow and it'd be like, bam, that's it. That's the piece right
what I
there.
was looking for, yeah.
So it's not just going in and just shopping. You literally have to curate a space that's unique to your client, and it has to be a true reflection of who they are, because it's in your spaces where you're gonna grow.
Yes.
It's in your space. That space should cultivate you.
Yes.
That space should surround you with whatever you need in life to move wherever God is taking you.
Man, and I think you hit it right on the head with that, because even as I walk into my office, I know I'm more productive, and I feel like I'm in an environment where I can be productive. And that's the same thing we wanted for our team members as well. You've seen the reaction when they first walked into their particular spaces or their particular offices. Oh my gosh, it took up that
So
customer
shocked
service
and
up to the
amazed.
next level. It took the professionalism to the next level. And that's one thing, it's all about getting in that right environment. And sometimes the environment is the space as well that you're in. Man.
Right,
Yes.
right. And so, talk us through the process of even your selections. Like, I know, like, you can talk about my office first of all, because just talk about, like, what was your thought pattern? What did you get from my initial interaction with my style?
Okay.
And for my office, I'm just curious.
Your personality spoke to me. You're more edgy. You not only are you a go-getter, but your style is a little more edgy. So that means you're not afraid to try certain things.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, there is no right or wrong.
Correct.
But you have to know the personality and the
Yes.
style.
Yes.
So when I initially start picking things for you, I chose those things that were bold and edgy, but still staying true to the vision and the color palette.
Yes.
But I also saw not just the color palette that we chose,
Right.
but I also saw a color that would stand out. That's, you really don't see another orange couch
Yes.
Right.
in the space.
Right.
But it's Caleb.
Exactly.
Right.
And so that's when I asked, what colors do you like? And so I initially saw something, a bolder color, whether it was orange or
I know we were thinking about olive green.
yes. And
Yeah.
then, or either a gold, but I was like, but I kind of wanted to stay away from the gold or the yellow, because that was part of, the whole design.
Right.
But based on that, I chose those pieces because of your personality, because you are kind of edgy.
And you hit it right.
Oh, yes,
on
you
the
did.
dot. You
Yes,
hit
you
it right. I don't know if you all saw our reactions or my reaction on Facebook. I was like, oh my goodness, she hit it right on the dot. And I was exactly say that. You know, I wanted to do something different because I'm always a traditional guy. I'm more of my home is more traditional, rustic. And so I'm like, I'm in the office. I am a young 36 entrepreneur. I said, I need to be edgy. And so you did a fantastic job. What was Ferris's personality with his?
Okay.
I'm just curious about
You
Ferris'
nailed
personality.
it. Whatever you
Ferris,
said.
and it's crazy because
See, y'all know when you know you got your designer on when she knows your personality.
Yes.
That is like amazing. Go ahead.
we even, with the grand opening, you hit it when you said, y'all are like yin and yang.
Yes.
So even talking to you guys, I knew Caleb was a little more edgy, but you were a little more conservative, but you wanted to try something different.
Correct.
So my approach to you was to give you something that was a little more toned down, that was a little more conservative, but at the same time outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
So the color selection for your space, even though it's still kind of blend, it was still different because I gave you different tones and
Yes.
textures. And so, and it was funny because I can't remember. I showed Ferris something, and he was like, he texted me back. He was like, and I can only see your face. I mean, I can only imagine what your facial expression was like because your text was like, I don't know about that. And so when I started explaining like why I'm using a velvet and a leather, he was like, okay. And then he was like, okay, I trust you.
Exactly.
I like this one better. So, and a lot of people think that everything has to match. That was
That's me.
Ferris. So he was like, either we're going to do the chairs
Make them all the same.
as the sofa, or we're going to do a sofa that's just like the chairs. And I was like, no, we're not. Because we like to bring in different tones and textures. So everything does not have to match.
Exactly.
Like we thought many years ago.
Right,
you
right,
buy
right.
a living room suit, okay, you got to get the chair, you got to get the love seat, you got to get the couch.
You don't have to get that.
No.
Exactly.
So you have to bring interest to a space. And when you bring interest to a space, you use different, even down to wood tones.
Yes.
Everybody thinks that all the wood has to be the same. No. Because wood in itself is a beautiful, natural element that God created.
Yes.
So when you look at wood, wood is so interesting
Right.
because it has all the different intricate little details just in the
Grain,
wood.
Yes.
the little-
Yes.
yeah, the
Yes.
indentions and all of this stuff.
So wood in itself is beautiful in itself. So I like to use different woods. I love to mix metals. I love to use different tones and textures. So that's what pulls the space together. So the space won't look so monotone.
Right.
And when it looks monotone, you'll be like, oh my. Can you imagine talking to somebody like that?
Better hang up.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right? So just imagine that monotone being your space. Then you'll get to the point where you'll be like, oh my goodness, it's so boring.
Exactly.
Like there is almost like there's no life.
Exactly.
Because everything is the same. So
Well, every person that came through these doors, even this week, has been like, wow, this is so beautiful. Wow, this is amazing. And I know we have gotten over 2,000 probably views of just the space, and it's been just amazing feedback. You know, one thing I really want to say, I don't know if anybody saw this on the Facebook, but it was the details for me that really went out over and beyond, especially when I saw on our colleagues or our team members' faces when they went to their desk and you had personalized pictures of their family members or of themselves at their desk to make it feel like this is your home, this is your space, and this is your place to grow. And I want to say thank you for that. Those little details, I have seen some tears. I have had some texts that says, oh my goodness, it was so sweet that she did this and so did that. So it was the details for me. And I want to say, like, when you pick a designer and they know who you are, and they know, not only your team and your companies, it becomes a family.
Yes.
And so everybody felt welcome and love at that very moment. So I want to say thank you for that.
You're
Karen.
welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
And I think what you did was, I think for the city of Milledgeville, because our building is nestled on the south side of town, and a lot of times people look at the south side of town and say, "Oh my gosh, well, it may not look up to par," but the south side of town is thriving and it's been reviving, and we just wanted to go through and put our mark on something, and you put your mark definitely all over this building. And again, the inboxes, the text messages, like, who did this? Oh my gosh, this is beautiful. And one of our hopes is definitely our audience. Guys, even as you all watch this video, we want you to go through and actually find her page as Karina's Design Studio, and make sure you all go to the support and like her Facebook page, but also go through. If you're design inclined, or if you just need that, if you're DIY, I think my cousin actually said she spoke with you. She's a do-it-yourselfer, and she said, "I'm gonna do it myself, but I really like what she did with you all." So I said, I got to get out that do-it-myself mode and let someone come with that specialty. So we want our audience to go through and actually support you and your organization, your business as well. And so I guess with that being said, I would like for you to go through and maybe in that camera right there, give a parting piece of advice to someone who was afraid to go through and take that leap like you did. In 1996 or 7, you got the calling to go through and do what you did. It took you a few years to go through and answer that calling, but I want you to speak to that person who's struggling to go through and make that decision. Should I stay on my job? Should I take a leap? Should I do entrepreneurship, or should I not? Or should I answer my calling because I'm gifted in this area and I know I'm gifted in this area? Or should I just go through and just wait for 20, 30 years to pass by and answer it later on?
And what I'm going to say is that God has gifted each and every one of us with a gift. And that gift is to be used for his people. And so you got to know, even when you're searching to figure out what your gift is, I tell people all the time, it's that thing that drives you. It's that thing that you love to do, and that you would even do it without pay. That's how you know. And not only would you know that's your gift or that's your calling, but when your gift changes people's life, that's a gift from God. So even with this, like I said, the seed was sown in 1997, but it did not manifest until 2021.
Wow.
And so everything that I've done and everything that I've gone through along this journey, it was to prepare me for this moment.
Yes.
So even when you're going through what you're going through and you're struggling and you're trying to figure it out, just know that everything that has happened up until this point, God is preparing you for where it is that he wants to take you. But follow your heart.
Yes.
If it moves you, if it motivates you, if it's something that is going to change someone's life, that's your gift. That's your call. Operate in it and walk in it. And one thing that I love to say, and I leave this with people, we got to begin to live in peace, to be at peace.
Ooh.
Change your, transform your space, transform your life. Because you're not just in this space just because. Where you live, it has a purpose. And that purpose is to cultivate what's already on the inside of you. So it has to be conducive to be able to allow you to move where God is trying to take you.
You know what? On that note,
Look, transform your space and transform your life.
That is beautiful.
And Karen, please let everyone know how to get in contact with you.
Your phone numbers and your Instagram and Facebook.
You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. I am Karina's Design Studio, and on TikTok I think I'm Karina's, just Karina's, because it wouldn't allow me to put that. But anyway, I'm
Can you
on
spell
those.
it?
It's spelled KarenNNAS Designs, DESIGN Studio. Karina's Design Studio. No S, I'm sorry. Also, you can email me at oh goodness, you shouldn't have asked me that. It is Karen Larkin at Karina's Design at gmail.com. Or you can contact me at 478-776-9255. 56. Or you can go to the website, karinasdesign.com. You can do, there's a questionnaire. So if you want to reach out to me or just kind of, figure out what do you need to do. And I also do virtual.
Nice.
So
nice.
I do
That's good.
virtual.
That's good.
So if you're out of town, out of state, even if I can't come to you, but I can. But I can do virtual as well. So.
Love it. Well, there you have it. Another great episode with Karen Larkin, the owner of Karina's Design Studio. We're gonna say, we're gonna give that title to you, our personal interior designer.
Yes.
For Prime Care Home Care Service. So we want to say thank you so much for being on the show, and we're gonna have a little moments for the after show.
Okay.
But guys, tune in every Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have great content on YouTube, Spotify, as well as Facebook.
Yes.
So make sure you tune in every Tuesdays and Thursdays for conversations with the home care guys, and we're happy to just be in this space. And I hope you enjoyed this special episode.
Get ready for the after show.
Let's get it.